Tyrese Maxey. How good can Tyrese Maxey be this season? We'll talk about that and more next on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I am your host, Keith Pompey. I'm going solo today. My man, Divine Givens, isn't here with us today. But, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about your guy, Tyrese Maxey. And the reason why I say your guy is because, Tyrese is a fan favorite in Philadelphia. He's a guy that everyone likes. It's one of those things. He's outside of Joel Embiid. He's the most popular player. And there may be some people who turned on Joel, making Tyrese Maxey the most popular player on the team in their eyes. We keep going back and forth. Me and my co-host Divine Givens, at time to time, we talk about how good can he be. And I think Tyrese is going to be a great player. I do. I do believe that, there's a lot of people who think that if James Harden leaves, that Tyrese Maxey can take the keys and become, the point guard, the lead guard of the team. I still think that he's a secondary guard. That's not a knock on him, but I feel like he's not a point guard. Can he handle the ball? Can he do a lot of things? Is he a great combo guard? Yes. I just don't think that he's a lead guard right now. And it's nothing against him. I don't want to make this comparison to him because this guy is unfair comparison. But when I look at Tyrese Maxey, I look at more like a Dwayne Wade type. Again, no comparison in regards to Dwayne Wade being a Hall of Famer and all that type of stuff, right? Future Hall of Famer. But when I look at Maxey, I'm talking about an undersized two guard, a guy who is a scorer, get this and that. Yes, can he run an offense? Of course. He can have the ball in his hands. But I feel like he is a scoring guard, a two guard. Whereas Chris Paul and other guys are a point guard, this and that. James Harden is a two guard, but he's a ball handler, better ball handler, right? So that's not a knock on him, and I'm not trying to overhype him, but at 6'2", he's a two guard, a smaller two guard. So when we look at that, I think that that's where he's going to be. But I'm excited for him this season. I really am. I honestly feel like, this is going to be a big season for Tyrese, a season for him to show what he can do. I feel like, we're going to see a lot from him. But I also feel like that he is going to be able to maybe be a fringe all-star. I think he was there last year. I think the thing that hurt him, that really impacted him, was when, let's face it, when he got injured. When he came back, he was in and out of the starting lineup. I felt like he lost some momentum with the injury. But I also believe that this guy, his best days are ahead of him. And I also think that he's going to go to another level this upcoming season. I do. I feel like he's been a guy that, let's face it, when he was drafted, he was the steal of the draft. He fell to late in the first round. He was, what was it? He was a number 21 pick at the 2020 draft. He was projected to be a lottery pick. But when you look at his progression, his first year as a rookie, he played in 61 games. He had 8 starts. He averaged 8 points. His second season, and he should have been the most improved player, or he should have been in consideration for it his second year. His second year, he played in 75 games with with 74 starts, and he averaged 17.5 points, right? His 3-point percentage went from the first year to 30% to 42.7%. And then last season, he shot, he averaged 20.3 points, and he shot 43.4% from three. And the funny part is, like, that was probably the least talked about thing of his game, because we were all talking about him, his ability to get to the cup, his ability to thrive in transition and things like that. Um, so when we look at it, Tyrese has progressed, and I think that he'll take another step forward. Now he played in 60 games last year. He started in 41. So there were 19 games he didn't start. There was a stretch where we know where he came off the bench because, the backcourt of him and James Harden was just a defensive liability. And they took him off. Now, Doc was saying this, Doc Rivers was saying certain things that really, I think he was trying to protect Maxey, and he didn't want to make it seem like he brought him like he was demoted. And to be honest with you, he was demoted because of you didn't want to demote James, right? But he's a career 85% uh, foul shooter. He's a career 41.4% 3-point shooter, and Maxey is a guy who I think that's going to continue to excel and do things and play at a high level. I really like his game. I feel like he's going to have a breakout year, and I know that sounds crazy. 8 to 17.5 to 20.3. He shot 43.4. But Maxey, in my opinion, is a great player, a good player. If you follow the 76ers, you know a lot about him, right? You rave over him. You see him on national TV. You hear people talk about him at time to time. But I feel like this is going to be a year where everyone is going to say, this kid is special. This kid is special. This kid is special. Now, the one thing is he may have to do the next, I think that, and I kept saying this over and over again, that I think his growth is going to have to come on the defensive end a little bit. It improved a lot towards the latter stages of the season, right? He made progression, but I think he still needs to get the lateral movement, you know, uh, not say a little stronger, but use some a little bit more physicality and things like that. And I think that everything will work out for him. I do. I think that Maxey will have a great year um, doing those types of things, right? I want to talk to y'all about FanDuel, right? Take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's 200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to the over under to who you think is going to get the first home run. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you can get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit fanduel.com/locked on to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's fanduel.com/locked on. FanDuel, official sports bet partner of Major League Baseball. Thanks for making Locked On Sixers your first listen every day. Every day is tomorrow on the show. We'll talk more about, PJ Tucker. Talk about PJ Tucker. Now, the thing is, I want to talk to y'all a little bit about Paul Reed. Not Paul Reed. Paul Reed is on my mind because I'm gonna try to go. I'm not trying to go. I'm gonna go to his media availability today, so I have more about PJ Tucker and Paul Reed tomorrow. But let's talk about Jaden Springer, right? So when we talk about Jaden, this is a big year for him. Jaden Springer is a guy who, when you look at him, you say, come on, man, 3 years. He spent most of his time in the G League. Yeah, he showed his flashes in the game last year. He played in the G League not G League, G League last year. He played in the Summer League this summer, and he played well, right? But then when you look at his career, you're saying, okay, he's been in the league for 2 years, going in his third year. He only played in 18 games, right? You'll say, look, the guy only played in 18 games in his career. And, what is he averaging? 2.4 points. What is he shooting from three? 3-point shooting is not bad. He shot 40% last year. He didn't attempt a three his first year. You know, he started 2 games. He averaged 5.3 minutes. But when I look at Jaden, and you look at him, and he was a guy who was one of the youngest guys in the draft. I believe the second youngest guy in the draft when the Sixers took him 28th overall in the 2021 draft, right? Right. He's only 20 years old. Only 20. He's going to turn 21 on October the 20th, right? Young. This guy has an upside. Right now, you look at him, chiseled frame, 6'4". He's listed at 204. He looks to be bigger than that. I mean, solid. He looks like a guy, look like he can play football. Now, I'm not saying he's like a big, thick neck and all this other stuff, but he's solid. Solid. He looks like he could be a pretty good tight end in the NFL or something when you look at it, or a yoked wide out. Coming off the end, a rush in. He would have to get bulk up a little bit more, but he has that solid frame because of his height, 6'4". I think that he's going to get an opportunity to show what he can do. I mean, let's face it. The Sixers really don't have a lot of options at this particular stage. But he's a guy that under Nick Nurse that you would think that he would get a chance to at least show something. And he's a defensive guy. You can get him out there. As long as he continues to work on his 3-point shot and do certain things, you feel like he'll get an opportunity to show. And I think that at 20, I mean, he's a guy that only like Maxey, he has an upside. Now, the difference between Maxey and most of the other guys like Isaiah Joe, who they let go, Charles Bassey, who was let go, a couple other guys, Maxey got an opportunity. I mean, really, like Maxey benefited from opportunities and he thrived. And Jaden Springer didn't get an opportunity when he came. He just didn't. And, he got to play last year toward the second and last game of the season. And he played well. He played a little bit in the last game of the season, but he left the game early. Those are his 2 starts. But when you look at him and you see like how young he is, that this should really help him out. I mean, it should. He's a guy who's young. He's a guy who went and was a McDonald's All-American. He's a guy who excelled at IMG Academy. He was a one and done at Tennessee. But I feel like Tyrese Springer is going to have a breakout year, or could be in position to have a breakout year. Now, for him, what's a breakout? Breakout for him is basically getting minutes. For him, showing things on the defensive end. I think the way that he's going to impact the game is not going to be per se scoring points. It's going to be doing the unheralded things, being a solid role player, wreaking havoc, being disruptive. But if he can knock down shots, and, he's working out with Keith Williams, an exceptional shooting coach. If he can knock down shots, then that's going to lead to him getting minutes, So I feel like for a young guy a young first round pick, that this is going to be a vital season for him, a season that the Sixers are going to have to make a decision basically on his future. But I think that he'll take advantage of it and will thrive. All right, and as for the third segment, I want to talk to y'all about my man Furkan Korkmaz. Furkan, this is it's one of those things where Furkan asked for a trade twice. He did it early on in his career, and then he did it last year. Uh, the team was unable to trade him. I do think that he could be someone that Nick Nurse could get a look at, or if he already knows what he has in him, he could be someone that they could try to move as well. The problem is that I think that his trade value decreased. It decreased because if his trade value was up high, I felt like they would have moved him, right? Like there was a time that teams thought like a new scenery would be better for him, that he could go out there and show what he could do. So you know, you hope for him, and you hope for uh, the Sixers that they could work something out. But I also think that for the time being, when you look at it right now, who are the shooters? I mean, we talked about Tyrese Maxey shooting 43.4%. But outside of that, who are the shooters on the team? DeAnthony Melton can shoot the three. He needs to be a little bit more consistent, though. But do they have a designated guy that can come in and just hit buckets? No. Um, no, they don't. I mean, you know, they lost that person in George Niang. D House can make them from time to time, but they don't have that guy. They don't have a designated shooter, and that's something that Furkan could fulfill a role. But I got to see where he is. Philly was a place that he wanted to leave. He wanted to get out of there. He's going to be in the final year of his deal. Maybe it's easier to move a guy now in his final year. Who knows? He could be lumped in a trade with James. He could be lumped in a trade with anybody else, you think. But it's going to be interesting to see what the Sixers do with him, because I'm one of the guys who think in the right situation, Furk could play. Now, who knows? Nick Nurse could be the right situation. A new coach, he could look at Furk and say, "Hey, this is somebody we want to have." So, you know. But hey, y'all, I want to thank y'all for listening. Hopefully, Devon will be back with me tomorrow. Um, but I want y'all to have a great day and be blessed, right? Be blessed. And, I know that the season should be upon us shortly, and that's going to be exciting for all, exciting for me. But have a great day. Happy Tuesday to you. Peace.